Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Today in this session, we are going to talk about the workflow between InDesign and InCopy, the collaboration between your InDesign project files and the stories that you have in your project. So, how can a designer create the InDesign project and have his editors work on the contents for that project file and then collaborate on those stories and the project in real time? So let's get started. So I've got InDesign and InCopy, the latest versions installed here in my system. And I'm just going to launch InDesign now. There are different types of workflows available in InDesign. And the first one is the layout-based workflow, which is the most simple workflow, the most straightforward one. And the workflow involves just place the InDesign layout on a local network file server and have all your publication staff or all the editors work on it directly. So designers open the file over the network in InDesign, and editors and writers open the same InDesign file layout over the network with the file open command. Now, when you open an InDesign file into InCopy, it's only accessed as a read-only. And to make the content editable for InCopy users, the designer needs to export the layouts, text, and image frames to InCopy content, like the ICML files. So the ICML files are actually the linked stories or the linked content on which the InCopy users will be working upon. And the layouts, content, text, and images is linked to the actual InDesign project. So editors can open the layout in InCopy and edit the content in the linked frames. Okay. Now let's quickly launch InDesign and see how the workflow is going to be like. So I have InDesign open here on my screen now. Now before you create a document, what I would suggest is to go into the file menu and then click on the user option and then provide yourself a username. So for example, here I'm going to type in my username, and then from this drop-down menu you can select a color of your choice. I'll go with the gold one that's currently assigned, the default setting, and I'll click OK. Now I'll have to go to the file menu, click on new document, and then print preset, and then I'll click on the letter preset to create a letter size document. And now I'll go to the file menu, click on save as, and then navigate on my desktop and then save this file. Go to the desktop and create a new folder here. Give this one a name, IDIC 20. Save the file. Now, as I said, that the simplest workflow is to save the InDesign file directly on a network share and have the users work on the InDesign file itself, with of course the stories and assignments added to it. There are two more workflows in InDesign and InCopy. The other one is the assignment-based workflow, which is the most common one, and it's mostly used when when the project members or the designers and the editors who are working on the project, they all have access to a common storage space, a common FTP server where they can save their InDesign files and the InCopy assignments, and everyone can access the files and projects directly from that central location. So we are going to talk about the assignment-based workflow briefly, and then we will talk about the remote workflow, which is mostly used when the collaborators do not have access to common sharing space. So, for example, you are sharing your project or the content, some part of your publication or your project has to be provided by a writer who is a freelancer. He's not a part of your organization, so he won't have access to your company resources. So you can use the remote workflow to create an InCopy package file, which can be sent over to that user via different sharing mechanisms such as Google Drive, Dropbox, or Creative Cloud, or anything. Even email is fine. And then when the user works on that file, he can send it back to you as an IDAP file, and then you can just open that IDOC file in design, and then the edits that you had made in that ICAP file can be all seen written inside your InDesign layout. So let's quickly go through the assignment-based workflow. So I have this document created. It's a single-page document, and I'll add a few more pages to it, maybe just one page more. Okay, and it's saved on my desktop. And as you can see in the links panel, as of now, I do not have anything added to it. Now, what I'm going to do here is just create a text frame, and I'll be then creating some stories here. Stories are essentially those text frames or the areas in which we are expecting to get content from my story editor or the content editor. So in this text frame, I'm going to write uh, content for. So this is another text frame that I have added. And if I switch over to my first frame, first page, sorry, and I can create another text frame here, just copy it over to my first page and then paste it here. I'll leave this one for editor one and then change to this one, editor two. Okay. Now I will again add another text frame here. Okay. So now in my project, I've got two pages and two different stories or two different text frames. These are two different stories. These are not linked with each other. And now I'm going to, if you take a look at the links panel, you see that there is nothing linked in this project file. Now, what I'm going to do is to open my assignment panel, which can be found under Window, Editorial, and Assignments. And I'm going to create a new assignment here. Go to this panel menu and click on New Assignment. And you can see that it now asks me to assign a color. This is light. I'll go with a slight blue color for my first assignment. And here's the location where this assignment file is going to be saved. So this assignment file will be actually a container for all my InCopy stories or the InCopy linked stories on which my editors can work. And I'll go with the default settings, and so I'll continue with the default settings. Okay. Now my first assignment has been created, and I'll create one more assignment, and this one has got color red. I'll go with the default settings, click OK again. Now if I expand these two assignments, I can easily see that these do not have any content, so I cannot even expand them. So these are just blank assignment files. These do not have any content inside. So if I go to the first page and again open my assignments panel, I can now put this story in my assignment one. And then I'll get this alert dialog box. You must save the document after exporting. If you want to share it and export it, story is saved now, and I'll click OK. Now this first story has been added to assignment one. Now I'll go to the second page. Now I'll add this story to assignment two. Click OK again. And now the two assignments have got this exclamation mark stating that these assignments are up to date. I'll go to this drop down menu and select update all assignments. Now fresh has refreshed and this exclamation mark is gone. I'm going to do a Control S now on the system to just save the file. Now we switch to this panel. There is an option for track changes. It's very helpful in tracking the changes for my story, and before you start working on a story or a frame, I'll strongly suggest you to turn this option on. And how you're going to do that, I'll just show you in a minute. So now for this document, I've got two blank stories added into it. These two stories are part of two different assignments. And if I go to my links panel, like this, I can see that my InDesign file now has got two linked ICML files. And these ICML files are nothing but there's two individual stories that I have added to my assignments. So these ICML files are the actual InCopy stories on which the editors will be working. And these are physically saved on my system. So if I just navigate to that location where I had saved this file, so if I go to my desktop and inside this location, ID I see here is my InDesign document, and here there is here InDesign has created another folder, ID I see 2020 assignments, and if I go inside, you can see that there are two assignments here, assignment 1 and assignment 2. And if I open the content folder, I can see the individual ICML files for the InCopy stories. So now let me show you some more features about it. Now, as you can see that this story has got this globe icon uh, on top left hand side corner. This globe icon signifies that the file is available for anyone to edit. It's ready for uh, anyone to check out and start working on the document. So whenever you lock a file, whenever you start working on an InCopy story, you're actually checking out the document or checking out that story. And when you release it, when you're done with it, you save the changes and you're releasing the file for others to edit, you are checking in. So remember the two terms. These are very important when you're working in InDesign and InCopy. So say for example, I want to work on this story. So I'll right click and I'll go to InCopy and then select checkout. Okay, now see that globe icon is now changed to this pencil like icon, and now I can double click here and I can start typing. I'll type something here. And I will also suggest you to turn this option on and you will track changes in the current story. So this option will be available to you only when you check out a story. So before you check out the story, it won't be available, it will be grayed out. So once you have checked out, this option is available, so you can turn it on. And I will just copy this small text string and to Control V a few times. Okay. Now I have to again save this file. I have to check in this story to save my changes. And to do that, I can again right click and go to InCopy and select check in. Okay. Now InDesign will again give you this option or give you this alert that you cannot reverse this change and edit and do command. I'll confirm that yes, I'm saved. So click OK. And now this assignment has been saved. I'll do Control S once more. Now, let me show you how an InCopy user would work on this story and how those changes will be reflected inside InDesign. So let me launch InCopy now. All right, I have InCopy open now. So I will go to File menu, go to User, and again give myself a username and start off. Just drop down menu. I'll select the color of your choice. Okay. Now you can go to the File menu, click Open, and then navigate to that location where I had that assignment file saved. That's assignment one. So in InCopy, you've got three different views. You have the layout view, the story view, and the galley view. So when you just want to get the words down on the paper, you use the story view. This view will show you the text without any formatting. And when you want to see the line breaks and line numbers, like how the text actually looks like, then you would be switching to the galley view. And if you want to see how your text looks like in the InDesign document with all the formatting and everything applied, then you have to switch to the layout view. Let me just show you how it works. So for this assignment one, I'm just going to right click and click checkout. And now I have this option. I'll just fill it with some placeholder text. And before I do that, let me just turn on the track changes. And to do that, I'll just go to the changes menu and select track changes in the current story. Okay, so that whatever changes I'm making in this story can be tracked and will be visible to the other users as well. So I'll click on fill with placeholder text. Now it fills with some random gibberish text. I'll just select a few items and delete them so that I can just make some space for some extra text. So now it has been checked out and I've been able to add some text to it. Now let me switch to the story view and the galley view. And you can see that in the story view, I have these text and everything available to me. Like and the appearance of this text is very different than what I see over here in the layout view. So in the story view, you have very simple appearance of the text. And if I switch to the galley view, you can see that it has a count of my lines, and even it gives me the count of the words that I have here. Okay, and it also gives me a view of how many lines I can still accommodate inside this inside the story. So we go back to the layout view, and now let me do a check in and save this file and do Control S. Now let me go back to my InDesign document, and you can see that this first assignment, IDIC20 4.icml, or if I go to here and I just expand this one, it shows me that the first assignment is out of date. So InDesign knows that there is this content has been modified outside of InDesign, and now it wants me to update the content so that I can see the changes that have been made. So let me just go to the first page, and I will click on this refresh icon or update content icon. And as soon as I click on refresh, InDesign shows the content that have been added in that has just been added into this file. Now there's another there's one more thing that I want to show you, and that is about the track changes option. So remember that we had turned on the track changes in the story. So if I select this story and right click and click and select edit in story editor, I can see what changes have been made to this story. So, and even the if there are multiple editors working on the story, the work that has been done by those editors will be highlighted in the colors they had assigned themselves initially while launching the application or before opening that assignment file. So remember that we went into file menu and then clicked on user to assign ourselves color. So similarly, InDesign or InCopy remembers that color that was assigned to that user and shows the text highlighted in that color. So you have all this text highlighted in the color line, which I had initially assigned myself in InCopy. And if I just select one of these uh, strings, text strings, so I can see it here in the track changes, meaning that this was added by Divya, which was my username in InCopy, and it gives me a date and time stamp as well. Now, if I uh, just take this little slide, and if I right click and select, let me just select the story, right click and copy, and then select check out. Okay. Now, if I start working on it, now if I start the text, select the text, it gives me the option of either accepting the change or rejecting the change. So if I select that accept change, it's going to just mark it as accepted. And if I'm going to reject the change, then it's going to delete that text that was added by the other user in InCopy. And similarly, if I go to this, uh, if I cancel my check-in attempt, I go to InCopy and then go to check-in. It's like okay, go back to InCopy, and now I check out the document again, and now I just delete some of the text. So just wanted to show you how the text deletion part is going to reflect in InDesign or InCopy. So now I've deleted some text. I will again save it and right click and select check-in. Okay, and then I'll go back to InDesign, and InDesign will again see that this document has been updated. Click refresh. Now some text has been deleted. And if I select that text once more and right click and copy, check out, and now start working on it. Now there is another thing, there is another very cool thing that I want to show you, that what happens if you delete some text in InCopy, or you delete some text in InDesign, how does that show up in the track changes or in the story editor panel? So let me go back to InCopy first. So again, I will check out after updating the content. The changes menu and select to ensure that this track changes in the current story option is turned on. And I'll just copy some text here and paste it a few times, and then select some text here and just delete it. Okay, now just to right click and select check in. Okay, and then go back to InDesign. InDesign will say that this content has been updated. Fill the story with your panel once. And complete again. So now my changes that I've made in InCopy are now showing inside InDesign. Now I want to see the track changes feature inside the story editor. So I'll right click, select edit and story editor. Now let me show you how a deleted content will look like in the track changes panel. So this is my second assignment in InDesign. Just turn on the Windows control panel, and select the text frame, right click InCopy, and then check out again. And then I will just copy the text here, go down, paste a few times, and delete a few items here. Okay. Now I'll just go here, click on check in, click OK. Now in InCopy, I'm going to open that assignment file. Okay. Now, now I can see the text here in my layout panels, the story view and the gallery view. And if I just right click and then check out and then start, paste it a few times, probably select the first two items here from the top and just delete it, and right click again and check in. Okay, I'm going to go back to InDesign and go to my assignments and then refresh the content and view copy and check out story editor. You can see it here that the content that I had deleted in copy is all highlighted uh, in green and has a strike through on it. And I can see it here in the track changes panel that this content was modified by Divya, and date and timestamp is also there, and even the highlight with the highlighted color as well. It's very easy to identify who did what, and the text that has been added by this user account, when one that is in InDesign, I had assigned the color gold to it, so that text is highlighted in this color gold, and the text that was added or deleted in copy is highlighted in bio. So this is for the assignment based workflow, where you save your assignment files on a central network share, and then the editors or whoever is working on the file has access to that central storage space. They can open it and then start working. Now, uh, one thing to keep in mind is that whenever you have a file checked in by an editor or even the designer, no one else will be able to modify the content of that story. The designer can still continue to work on that InDesign file because it's the actual layout, it's not working on the actual story itself. So the designer can still keep on working on the design file, but those individual stories, once they have been logged by one of the users, they cannot be simultaneously logged by any other user. So chances of overwriting the edits or uh, uh, conflicting edits is going to be tough. Another advantage of using InDesign InCopy workflow is that if you have a multi-page document that is quite heavy, maybe 200, 300 pages long, and the editors who are working on the file are responsible for working on different sections of publication, then they need not open the entire InDesign document, which can be quite heavy with all the image contents, logos, and vector artworks, everything combined. Instead, when they open just that story that they have been assigned to, it will be a much lesser data to process for InDesign and copy, and performance will be much faster. So that was about the assignment-based workflow. There is one last workflow available in here, and that's the remote workflow. So let me just quickly check in that file and so on. Okay. So in the remote workflow, you actually send the story to an editor uh, as an InCopy assignment package, and the editor on the receiving end works on that file and sends you back as an IDAP file. So suppose this is the story that we want to share with another editor who doesn't have access to a common storage space. So we select that story, go to this panel menu, and then select package for InCopy. So it will open the Windows Explorer on Windows machine and then that window on Apple Mac. Then you have to select the location where you want to save this assignment, and I'll just save it in the same location where I have my InDesign file saved, and I'll continue the default settings and click save. Now that package InCopy Assignment package, and we can share this InCopy Assignment package with other users. They need not have access to my entire InDesign document. I can just share this InCopy markup package with them. So the other user, they can just go to File, Open, and then open that package and check out the document, and then start working on it. And we just add a few uh, text, and then save, right click, and then check in again, and or rather they can just go to window menu, assignments, and go in here and then select return for InDesign. So if you select return for InDesign, you will be creating an IDAP file which can be opened only in InDesign document, InDesign application. But if you select bring forward for InCopy, then again an InCopy assignment package will be created, an ICD MP file. And sorry. So from the assignment panel, a couple of options here. You can select return for InDesign. So if you return for InDesign, you will be creating an IDAP file which can be opened only in InDesign. If you want to share it further with another person working on InCopy for proofreading or anything for further editing, you can select forward for InCopy, and another ICAP file will be created that can be forwarded to the other users who can open them in InCopy and work on it, and again save it as either an ICAP or an IDAP and send it back to the designer or for further editing. So it depends. So for this demonstration, I'll just select return for InDesign, and I will save it in the same location. Save. I will go to my InDesign file and go to this panel menu and select Open Package. Navigate to that location where my IDAP file is saved, and click on Open. Gives me this dialog box. Okay, and changes that I've made in InCopy, those changes are all available here. So that was it for today. So to summarize, you've got three different workflows between InDesign and InCopy. The simplest one is a layout-based workflow where you have the InDesign document itself in a central location, and everyone has access to the InDesign document as well as the individual stories, assignments, individual stories that you have created in your InDesign file. The second one is the assignment-based workflow, which is the most common one, most commonly used workflow. You have your InDesign file saved in the network shared, and any user can access the assignments that are saved there and then start working on them. So the assignments are actually a container of the individual stories. You have individual stories residing inside those assignment files. And the third one is the remote workflow, when you are sharing your work with someone who is not a part of your organization, who does not have access to a common storage space. So when the designer and the editor cannot collaborate on a single storage space, then you can use that remote workflow. You create an ICAP file from InDesign, send it over to your editor. The editor works on it and sends it back to you an IDAP file, an InDesign package file that you can further open to InDesign, and then the content gets updated. So you can find out more details about all this in the help document, the link for which I have added in the video description. So if you want to take a look, just further click on that link and to open the PDF file where all this workflow is explained in much detail. And if you have any questions and feedback, feel free to comment. Thank you very much.